Hey everyone, today's video is going to be a breakdown of my latest single, Realization. I'm really happy with how this track came out, and I'm even more happy with the positive feedback that it's received. Thank you guys very much for that, it really means a lot. So we're going to take a look at the project file, we're going to break it down into the various sections of the song, and also go into a bit of the mixing involved and the thought process behind that. So, the first part of the song is this FM interlude with FM synthesis, and it's a combination of Dext, the VST, as well as samples of FM synths. And then in the background, there's also this, one of my favorite presets from the EMU Orbit 3, which is the Ion pad. And then even back here, you hear just this little chord interlude that I really like as well. Just very buried in the mix in the background, but gives it some glue to the mix, gives it a bed. Like that sound, it's just one of my favorites ever. Okay, so next up, the drums and the pads are introduced. The pads were the first part of the song that I worked on. I stumbled upon these samples and I was just absolutely blown away by this bass in the one sample, and then I added a portamento to it, so it does this really awesome pitch bend that takes the bass with it, and it gives this almost like Silent Hill vibe to it. You'll see what I mean when I play it in isolation here. And then here's the other pad. There's a little bit of a Fairlight Serrar vocal in the background there, give it some extra breath. And then we add both of them back together. And that, once I came up with that part, it just, everything started coming together. The drums are pretty simple. I usually like to do like this 2-pattern hop, where I'll do the first pattern and then the second pattern is just pretty much an exact duplication, with the exception of a minor change. In this case, on the 7th bar here, there's this little snare trill that I did that I really like. Even its minute addition really adds a lot to the overall drum pattern. And that little drum trill, again, it kind of spices things up. It takes a 4-bar pattern and extends it into a 8-bar pattern just with that simple addition. And playing alongside that, we have some percussion here. Okay, so we got a few things going on here. I added this clave, and it's just basically going up a scale or going up octaves, and I just really like the kerplunk of it, the sound of it, and It's quiet again. It's buried in the mix, but it adds a little something extra to keep the listener excited throughout the track. Now that you know that's there, you can barely hear it, but it's there, and I love little details like that. It's important. The next part are these hi-hats. When these hi-hats come in, I was just slicing up the sample, and I really like this on-off approach to the hi-hats, and it's like it added its own additional groove to it, and it really helped propel the song. And there's also this delay here. Again, something that you would normally not notice on the first listen, but it's for that second, third, fourth listen, all those little details like that. And that was it for a while. The song kind of just sat there. And then one day, my wife was playing Hot Thing by Prince. And there's this really awesome Oberheim synth that goes throughout the song. Bum, ba, bum. And that harsh synth in this, kind of mellow, funky song, I love that juxtaposition. And it really inspired me to do something similar. So I grabbed this Oberheim sample and then added some reverb and chorus to it. And then got this. I also went ahead and automated the reverb and the volume. There's this cool trick I learned from The Art of Noise that they do this really neat transition effect with increasing the volume of the reverb and then immediately cutting it off when it goes to the next measure. It's very simple, but very effective. Then it goes into this part with this very FM bass line. It's very reminiscent to like the lately bass that you hear in like What Is Love. Pad in the background. It's just a 3x os with this chorus effect, and I use this OSL chorus, which is free and sounds absolutely phenomenal. And I'll just go ahead and show you the 3x os with and without the chorus, and it's a night and day difference. It's really crazy. That's just a really, really beautiful chorus effect. I also added this bass guitar, and that combined with the Oberheim synth is just this great. I love bass guitars, especially muted bass guitars. They're very, Dwayne Eddy-esque. It's just the essence of cool to me, pretty much. three last things I wanted to point out here are the three additional samples that show up near the end. I have this Vox Bliss, which is from the Emu Extreme Lead 1, and again is another really cool ethereal sound. Yet again, another just in the background thing, adding additional detail. And then we have this Kurzweil K2000 flute sample, which I'm pretty sure is the same sample used in Ghost in the Shell when Major fights the spider tank. I've always loved that movie and the soundtrack to it, and so when I found this sample, it reminded me immediately of that. So I went ahead and used it here because, again, it's a really cool sample and it adds this nice melodic idea that really just came to me. I kind of was just listening to the pad and going, what can I add here for a high pitch melody? And it kind of just came to me. It was kind of weird, but really happy with that musical idea, and it just sounds great with that sample. It's a really, really cool sound. And then the last sample we have here is some bleeps and boops that I found. Again, reverb, and that's pretty much it. The rest of it's just automation. Before I used to just like make a little segment of automation. Now I'm doing the whole song with automation. I'm realizing that's just a better way of working because it gives you just so much more control. You know, throughout the song, gives you more creative freedom. One thing to point out is that I'm self-taught, so I realized that over the years I've been doing some stuff the wrong way. And thanks to channels like In the Mix and just doing my own research and, you know, reviewing what I've learned by myself and comparing it to, you know, tutorials and everything like that, I think I've really improved and overall with my production and my mixing and my mastering. And let's go ahead and use that as a segue to take a quick look at the mixing. It's pretty straightforward, but there is some routing going on here that I wanted to show you. It's not too complex, but we have pads going into reverb, and I have my reverb here with a little bit of parametric EQ boosting around 600 to 1800 and boosting the mid end on the reverb send. I believe it's called the Abbey Road reverb trick, and just by EQing the reverb just slightly and creating it, making it sound slightly different and sound a little more brighter than the original dry single path, you get just reverb that just sounds so much better, just sounds so much crisper and clearer. And so I make sure that's like my go-to thing with reverb, is make sure I route it into a different channel and give it some EQ. That seems to really help a lot. With these pads and a lot of the bass going on, I took special consideration into sidechain compression. You know, the bass really wants to shine. It will automatically duck the pads and other instruments that I've assigned in their various compressors with the sidechain, and it helps give you enough headroom so that way the power for the bass isn't being taken away by the pads, or doing little things like that really help rein in just the amplitude and the power of the energy of the frequencies rather. The other thing about this track is that I was also very careful about tonal balance, and that's something that I realized that I wasn't really practicing with, and I realized that was a big problem. I found this plugin called Balancer by Sonable and Focusrite, and it's a free plugin. It uses AI, I believe, to analyze your audio and essentially give you tonal balance, and you can choose between warm, neutral, or bright, as well as the intensity of the effect. And this was very, very important. I went ahead and applied it to a lot of tracks, and while it did increase my CPU usage considerably, and it kind of slows it down a little bit, the effects are really good. I went ahead and did this on both the mixing phase and the mastering phase, and I never had so much fun mastering a track before. So that pretty much wraps up the video. Thanks again for watching, and have a good one.